Welcome to All That Matters Online. I'm Tara Beaulieu. Thanks for joining me for practice today. One thing that we will definitely be using is a yoga strap. If you don't have one, something long that will approximate a strap, like either a winter scarf or even a fashion scarf, a necktie, something like that. A dog leash would work, but whatever you can find. I always have a block around and the blanket that I'm sitting on, so I don't think that we'll actually need any of those for anything, but we're definitely going to be utilizing the strap as we get towards the end of class. So if you need a second to pause and go grab that for yourself, go do that now, and I will see you when you're ready. We're going to start on backs. So lie on your back with knees bent and feet planted on the earth. Take your arms out to the left and right with bent elbows in a goalpost shape. So backs of hands are on the floor. My elbows are about the same height as my shoulders. And start to observe a smooth and steady breath in and out through your nose here. Scanning your body, in particular the parts of you that touch down into the floor in this shape and those that don't. And as you're scanning around, imagine that you are creating a visual for yourself of the imprint that you're making in sand. So laying on some warm, lovely beach, resting into the soft sand. What's the impression that your body makes in this moment? Is it left side heavy or right side heavy? Does it feel pretty equal? How about feet versus shoulders or back of head? Are there parts that you are keenly aware of and others that seem sort of like there's a fog or a blurriness to that space in your body where it's not really clear quite where it is even in your spatial awareness right now? Top of your next inhale. Pause and retain your breath in. And then as gently as you can release, exhale it out. And pause when you get to the bottom of your exhale. And once again, go back to breathing in, fill up. When it feels like you're at the top of the breath, this time see if you can take one more sip of air in where the lungs are at their fullest capacity. It feels right up to the tops of the collarbones. And then a slow, steady empty out, right? So it's not a big it's just a gentle exhale, release. And when it feels like you're at the end of the exhale, continue there to press air out, press air out. Feel the belly start to get a little bit concave and draw upwards a touch. And once more, slow and steady. Allow your belly to start to expand as you fill up, right up to the top of the lungs. Holding breath in there. And then gently let it go and keep exhaling until every last drop of air feels like it has been expelled, and hold it out. The pelvic floor drawing in, the belly hollowing. And then return to a natural rhythm of breathing in and out through your nose, no retention. Let your feet come up off of the floor, shins parallel to the earth. Inhale here. As you exhale, anchor through your left shoulder, left elbow. Let your knees drop over about halfway to the right. Pause and take an inhale. As you exhale, slowly glide over to the left. Anchor through your right elbow, right shoulder. Breathing in, and as you breathe out, come back up and over, and take it to the right. Always staying put for the inhale, and journeying to the other side as you exhale. And let the breath be the guiding factor here when you move and when you pause, knowing that your breath work is of your own making and is very personal practice, and that my breath, your breath, and anybody else's is never going to be quite the same. So you do not need to stay in rhythm, in sync with me or anyone else you might be practicing with. Just go at your own pace. There's no prescribed number that we're getting to here. It's just a little bit of waking up of the core. A little twisting action for the spine. In addition to the shoulders, there's a whole lot of stuff going on here. All right, so we began on the right. So we'll end on the left. So the next time that you complete one cycle of right and left, that'll be your last round. And come on up to center. Wrap your hands around the backs of your thighs. And as you exhale, draw yourself in, nose towards the knees. Let your elbows flare out at your sides. And then lay back. And start to rock and roll yourself up and down. I'm actually going to switch just a little bit more this way on my mat. And start to rock and roll up and down. I'm going to turn this into a little bit more of a posture as opposed to just a playful movement. So the next time that your toes are up and overhead, pause there. Let your toes touch down. Your hands can come along your side waist and elbows bend and kind of hold and support the low back. You could also let your arms extend out long. Press the back of the head into the earth. Find a lift of your chin so the throat and airway feels free and clear. And then slowly as you can, you're going to start to set your spine back down on the ground, keeping your legs long, drawing them in close towards you. And as though someone's got like slow motion or almost freeze frame happening, one vertebra at a time. Sit down, 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 sit down. Eventually the whole back body is down. I'm going to let your legs start to lengthen up towards the sky. Keep this L shape, arms reach up and overhead. Inhale here. As you exhale, continue the journey, legs down, torso is going to start to lift up. And I'll scooch back again. Hinge forward and bow towards your legs out in front of you. Don't worry how low you go. Don't worry what your hands touch or don't touch. Keep the spine long for a moment, heart lifted. And then allow yourself to round and drape forward. Take a breath there. And re-extend through the spine. Start to reach through your arms again. Lift yourself up. Come back into the L shape. And slowly make your way back down. The feet start to come up off of the earth. The arms down by your sides. Legs are up at the ceiling. And then they go up and overhead. Toes towards the floor. We'll move through that one more time. So as slow as you can, drawing the thighs close to the belly. You're trying to just sort of crease yourself right in half there. Set your hips down, little by little by little by little. And once you feel you're in about a 90-degree L shape, arms can reach over your head so that you've got a little bit of leverage and momentum to start to lift up. Once you're upright, hinge forward and continue the journey towards your toes. And again, don't worry how far you go. You pause where you pause. Your arms come down where they come down. Keep lengthening the spine, heart forward, a breath in. And then let yourself round, let yourself drape. And breathe. And lift your heart up. Your torso up. Cross your ankles now. And shift forward or back, depending on where you landed on your mat. to the center of your mat. I'm going to draw left heel in and then right heel in. You can certainly prop yourself up on a blanket. I think I'll grab mine right behind me and just prop the sitting bones up to find a little tilt to the pelvis that supports the natural curve of the low back. So I'm not feeling like I'm a rigid plank in my spine, but that there is indeed some length. Inhale, sweep your arms up and overhead. As you exhale, set your right hand down and then send your left arm up and over. Let your right elbow bend. Draw your shoulder away from your ear. If you'll remember from other classes, this is depression, right? Shoulders away from the ears, elongating the neck. And then come on up through center. Inhale, reach. Left arm down, right arm up and over. Exhale. Drawing the left shoulder down and away from the ear. And come back up through center. Inhale. Exhale, left hand to right knee, right hand to the floor by your hip. Breathe in and extend from floor to ceiling. As you breathe out, again, there's a little depression in a relaxed manner. Shoulders drop down. You can let your torso start to move a little bit more towards the right, maybe gaze over back right shoulder. Unwind your torso, extend and reach. Inhale. Right hand to left knee or thigh. Exhale. Inhale, extend from sitting bones to crown. Exhale, soften through the shoulders. Allow yourself to play around with opening up into the twist. Inhale, come back to center, extend and reach. Exhale, long spine, and shift forward any amount. Again, the fingertips come down. When they do, you stop folding forward. When you do, you can keep journeying, keep journeying. Those of you who this feels really comfortable for, you can come all the way down, maybe rest on the forearms. Great place for a block. Sort of prop yourself up. You can take your thumbs and rest them right up into the tops of the top ridges of the sockets there for a little pressure. And those of you who come down a little further, maybe stack the fists or stack the hands and rest your forehead. And with a long spine, come all the way up again. Breathe in, send your hands back behind you. As you breathe out, just change the crossing of the feet. And then come back to sitting tall. Inhale, sweep your arms up and overhead. Exhale, right fingertips down, left elbow bends. Gently grab your right side of your head, and without tugging, draw left ear towards left shoulder. And let your right arm come out to about shoulder height and extend and reach towards the side wall. Keep your head where it is, release your left hand, and just notice that difference when you take the weight of your hand off. Head comes back to center, arm comes down. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, let your left hand come down, bend your right elbow, and gently draw right ear towards shoulder. And let your left arm start to come out to about shoulder height there, extending and reaching your fingertips towards the left wall. Head stays how it is, but release your hand. Let left arm come down, lift your head back up to center. Drop chin to chest. And slowly rock over right ear to right shoulder with chin still down towards the chest, so I'm looking down towards my legs here. Slowly nod yes. And rock chin to chest over to the left side and repeat it. Chin to chest, inhale, lift your gaze up, lift your chin up, lift your nose up. Exhale, come back to center. All right, let's shift forward onto hands and knees. We'll work for the spine in extension and flexion in cat and cow. Inhale, soft belly, tail skyward, heart skyward, gaze skyward. Exhale, press the floor away from you with hands and with feet as you turn inward. Inhale, soften the belly, lift the heart up. Exhale, draw navel in and up. Press the air out, press the floor away. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale one last time to your cow. Exhale with toes tucked under knees, lift and hover just an inch or two off of the earth. Pause, extend from crown to tail. Breathe in, shins hovering just above the floor. Breathe out. Grip through all 10 of the fingertips. Find a little lift through the center of your palms. Take the pressure off the wrists. Breathe in. Out, hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Step your feet in right towards the center line of your mat. Draw the big toes and inner ankles towards one another. Perhaps they're touching. And then step your hands in quite narrow too, so maybe the thumb pads are touching one another and your biceps are hugging right by your ears. Allow your eyes to close. And just observe what kind of sensory feedback you get. And just shifting the stance of the hands and feet in the down dog. Pretty minimally, a few inches. And let your feet step back out to their natural footprint and your hands to do the same. Swing right hand over to left leg. Now wherever you grab is fine. You can be up by your thigh, your knee, down by your ankle or your calf. And gaze up and under. Hi there. That left arm. And set your hand back down. Same thing. Left hand swings over to the outside edge of the right leg wherever you can grab. Look under your right arm. Both hands come down to the ground. Inhale, shift forward, shoulders over wrists. Heels reach back. Exhale, lower with bent elbows to the earth. Gently set your hips down, untuck your toes. Draw hands back so they're by the lower portion of the ribs. Squeeze elbows together. Retract shoulder blades onto the back body. Heart forward, gaze up, tops of feet down into the earth. Bhujangasana, Cobra pose. Exhale, lower back to the earth. And we'll repeat it 2 more times. Inhale, heart forward, draw shoulders back. Get longer through front body. Exhale. Last one, inhale. Exhale. Tuck the toes under. You can lift the knees or keep them down for added support. Up and out. Hips up and back. Draw your low belly in. Extend through the back body, downward facing dog. Inhale, come up high onto your toes. Exhale, let your heels descend back down. Inhale, come up high onto your toes. While you do that, let your shoulders crowd your ears. Exhale, as your heels drop down, so do your shoulders. Move them away. One more time. Inhale, lift up shoulders, lift up heels. Exhale, let them drop. Look forward to the front end of your mat. Come up high onto your toes, bend your knees. Use your exhale to escort you to the top of the mat, walking, stepping, or hopping. Quite a deep bend in the knees. Rest your belly right on your thigh and give a little shimmy shake. Let everything just kind of dangle loosely. Keep the bend in your knees. Start to sit your hips back and just sort of slowly peel yourself up in a rolling fashion until you're fully standing. Take your time. Lift your gaze up. Turn your palms out. Squeeze your shoulder blades together onto your back. Big breath in. Exhale. Let your arms come back by your side and your gaze forward. Inhale. Sweep arms up, around, and out to the side. Grab onto your right wrist. As you exhale, anchor to your right foot into the earth and arc over to the left. Let your hips sway out to the right. And inhale, come up through center. Exhale, grab your left wrist. and sway to the right. Hips go to the left. Inhale up to center. Exhale, swan dive. Big flaring out of the arms. Squeeze the shoulder blades back. Fold forward like a diver to the water. Halfway up and breathe in. Rest your hands right on your thighs and fold forward again. Exhale. Draw chin into the chest here. So a little stretch for the back of the neck. And then re-neutralize that. Inhale, rise all the way up. Hands to the heart. Exhale. Inhale, sweep arms up and overhead. Grab your right wrist. This time we'll add right foot as well. So as you arc to the left, the right foot steps behind into the side. And back to center. Inhale, extend long, left wrist, left foot. Exhale. Inhale, move back through center. Exhale, fold forward with a long spine. And then let the chin draw in towards the chest. And re-extend it to crown. Feels like it's headed towards the floor. Inhale, halfway up. Fold forward, exhale. Press down into your feet, rise all the way up. Bring your hands to your heart, exhale. Inhale, sweep your arms up and over. Exhale, fold forward. Come up halfway, inhale. Exhale, fold and step your right foot back. Bend your left knee, spin your right heel to the earth. So we're kind of creating like a warrior two footprint here. I'm going to heel toe my left foot over to the left. Just a scooch. Walk my fingers over to the right and away from me. So my upper body is kind of doing this fingertips down dog shape, while my lower body is doing this sort of warrior two legs. Notice the tendency of your sitting bones of your bottom to kind of just want to lean back here, and see if you can find an anchoring down through the feet, an external rotation of this bent kneed leg, this left leg, and a scoop under of the left cheek. Press down into the right foot, this long leg back here. Walk your fingers back in through center. Heel toe left foot back in, that inch or two that it came in. And windmill arms right up into reverse warrior here. Shoulder moves away from the ear, while this shoulder moves up a little bit more towards the ear. Come to the horizon line with both arms out into your warrior. Cartwheel hands to the earth. Pivot onto the ball of the back foot and step back. Downward facing dog. Left foot meets right. Inhale, shift forward. Use your exhale to come on down. Inhale. Hands draw back by the ribs, shoulders back, elbows back, heart forward. I tend to stick with Cobra. You are welcome to upward facing dog. I'll show that one time here if you're not familiar. Arms will extend, palms press. Tops of the feet come into the earth. My hips come up, as do my knees, right? So it's tops of feet, palms, and still the extension through front body. Right? And again, with the Cobra, the elbows are bent, the hips are down. Lower to the earth. Press up and back. Down dog. Inhale, take your right leg skyward. Exhale, bend your knee, open and stack your hip. Draw your heel in towards your bottom. Now as you're doing this, just become aware of what your shoulders are feeling like. I feel like my right shoulder has started to kind of peel open. It's crowding up by my ear, and I'm feeling a little saggy through my left side. So I'm going to try to balance that out by firming up through the left arm, anchoring it down, drawing my right shoulder away from my ear. And then there's this sense of a little bit of protraction. So it means my shoulder blades move away from one another, and my arms are kind of spinning and wrapping around in this outward action. There's a hollowing of my armpits that happen. Re-extend through your right leg, look forward, and step it up and through. Heel toe your right foot out an inch or two to the right, and pivot your back heel down to the ground at an angle. So again, sort of like a wider stance warrior two footprint. And let your fingertips be on the inside of this front leg and walk them right off your mat and far over to the left as far as they'll go. So you've got down dog happening in the upper part of the body and a very wide warrior two leg in the lower half. And again, just notice any tendencies to start to sag, start to sort of drape or droop or hang in your joints, and firm up whatever muscles feel like they would help support and hold you here. If suddenly you needed your hands, emergency, I need my hands for something else, could you lift them off of the earth? Would your legs support you in the shape? Right, that's your little check-in. And walk your fingertips back in towards your mat. Heel toe your right foot back towards center. When the feet feel stable underneath you, reverse warrior. So you'll pass right through Vira 2, backhand down, right arm reaches to the sky. And to the horizon line, look out beyond your front fingertips. Cartwheel your hands back to the earth. Step back once more, downward facing dog. Breathe in and lift your left leg up and back. As you breathe out, bend your knee, open and stack your hips. And again, just notice what happens into the shoulders. It's natural. You're twisting here, that the shoulders kind of come along. Your heart starts to pivot and turn to the left. Everything starts to sort of spin. And there's nothing wrong with this, other than there's a difference in how the weight is being bared. So I'm going to try to level that out a little bit. Put the effort back into both arms evenly, drawing my left shoulder away from my ear and firming up through my right arm, and creating that hollowing sensation in my armpits. Re-extend leg long and look forward. Step left foot up and through. And then right foot joins it. Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Come up halfway, breathe in. And bow forward, exhale. Rise all the way up, inhale. Bring your hands to your heart, exhale. Inhale, sweep your arms up and overhead. Let's go left side first. So grab your left wrist, arc over to the right, and take your left foot behind and to the side. Stretch out side body there. And back to center. Inhale, reach. Grab right wrist and take right foot behind and to the side. Exhale. Inhale, come back to center. And into your forward fold, exhale. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, fold. Step your right foot back. Pivot the right heel to the ground so the back foot's at a 45-degree angle. Heel toe your left foot out an inch or two to the left and walk your fingertips out to the right into that warrior two down dog shape. Take another breath. And we've been here before, perhaps a little more familiar feeling in the body now. See if in one fluid motion you can sort of heel toe in and windmill up. Reverse. As you exhale, this time bring forearm to front thigh. Top arm sweeps up and overhead and look up. There might be another hand arm emergency needed. Can't lean on it anymore, need it for something else. Maybe it shoots out in front of you. Fire up the whole left side there to keep yourself long and supported. And set it back down, nice work. Let this top arm sweep down towards the earth, back behind you, up and overhead. And once more, just like that. This time, hands down. Pivot onto the ball of the back foot. Sweep this right leg right up and back into that three-legged dog. Bend your knee open and stack. Level your shoulders. Inhale, extend your leg. Option to keep the leg hovering. Exhale, shift forward, high plank. You could always put your toes down. That's entirely up to you. And lower to the earth. Maybe you keep it hovering. And inhale, take a back bend. Maybe it's still hovering. Exhale, down dog. Maybe it's still hovering. And set it back down on the earth. Nice. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, walk, step, or hop. Inhale, come up halfway. And exhale, bow. Press down into your feet, rise all the way up. Grab your left wrist and arc it to the right. Step your left foot behind and to the side. So we're going right into it again. And up to center. Right wrist, right foot. Breathe out, side body stretch. Back up to center and fold. Inhale, up halfway. Exhale, fold. Bend your right knee. Step your left foot back. Pivot on the back foot so you can drop your left heel down at an angle and the toes turn out. Heel toe right foot to the right an inch or two. Walk your fingers to the left. Down dog warrior 2. And then we'll try on sort of one fluid action to heel toe in and windmill up. And come forward, forearm to thigh. Parsvakonasana here. I feel another arm emergency coming on. Need it for something, need it for something. Gotta hold it out there. Fire it up. And set it back down. Let this top arm windmill sweep around, up and back. And overhead, pressing into your left foot to get as much length through the side as you can as you go here. And hands to the earth. Pivot onto the ball of the back foot. Right leg's turn to be a little bit fancy. Take it up and back. Bend your knee open and stack your hips. Re-extend it long. Inhale, look forward. Maybe or maybe not it stays hovering through any part of this process. Shift forward. See what it's like. Is this an appropriate challenge for you today? Does it feel like too much? If it's too much, set it down. If it's great, keep going. Lower to the earth. See how it goes. Maybe for the back bend. Inhale. Exhale, maybe back to the dog again. And set the foot down. Look forward to the front edge of the mat. And again, use your breath. On an exhalation, with bent knees, walk, step, or hop lightly. Rise up halfway. And fold, exhale. Press down into your feet and sweep your arms all the way up and overhead. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. Inhale, sweep your arms up and over. Exhale, bring hands to the heart and let your elbows kind of flare out at your sides. Heel toe your feet up to be about 6 inches apart. Bend your knees and start to sit back with a nice long spine, sort of moving in these diagonal directions here. Inhale, and as you exhale, right elbow towards the left, not coming down to the knee, just towards the left. Let your right knee shift quite far forward, let your left leg shift back, and just notice what the twist is like. And then try to level these two knees with one another again and notice what the twist is like there. Again, not demonizing, there's no one way to do a shape, it's just a noticing where does my torso stop, and then where do my hips, my legs have to come in and help me pivot if I want to move deeper into the twist, so that you become aware of what body parts are moving when. And then take that same action over to the other side. Do it without shifting your knees or your legs at all. Notice where you get to, and then do let your legs kind of go along for the ride and just notice. And come back to center. Fold forward, Uttanasana. Rise up halfway, Ardha, Uttanasana. Bow forward, step your left foot back. Stay on the ball of your back foot this time. Right knee bends. And rise up, Crescent Lunge. You can certainly heel toe your feet a little longer in their stance, a little wider in their stance so you feel stable. Arms upwards towards the sky, breath in. And with breath out, left arm's going to go forward, right arm's going to sweep back. and open up into the twist. And then the same thing here. Sort of let your legs go with you, let your hips shimmy with you, and then firm that up. So there's an action of drawing back through this front leg and firing up through the back leg. And arms back to the sky. Let's take a turn to the left, straighten front leg. We're going to spin all the way around to the back end of the mat and into second side. So left knee bends, come onto the ball of the back foot. Find your crescent shape, reach through your arms. Right arm forward, left arm back. Let your hips kind of go with you for a moment. And then firm up the legs. Let the muscles turn on and support the framework of your body. We're going to pivot all the way back to the front end again. Come back to Crescent Lunge. Inhale. Hands come down. Exhale, take right leg up and back. Bend your knee, bring your heel towards your bottom. Exhale. Inhale, lengthen it out. And exhale, take it back to the floor. Left leg, inhale, take it up. Bend your knee open and stack your hip. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale, step it forward and through. Crescent lunge, rise up, inhale. Right arm forward, left arm back, exhale. Inhale, arms up. We're going to spin 180 all the way to the back end, exhale. Come to second side, inhale. Left arm forward, right arm back, exhale. Inhale up. And all the way back to the front end of the mat, exhale. Hands go down, left foot up and back, inhale. Exhale, bend your knee, open and stack. Inhale, extend your leg. And exhale, set your foot down on the ground. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, lower to the earth. Untuck your toes. Inhale, shoulders back, heart forward and up. Exhale, bend your knees. Take them wide, draw your big toes towards one another. Stack fists. Rest your forehead right on your fists there so your neck has some support in a child's pose for a moment. And before the body starts to get too settled and comfy, we're going to lift up. Come onto the fingertips, extend your arms out long, breath in. As you breathe out, walk your hands over to the right, right off of your mat. Let yourself drape right over that right thigh and fold forward. And lift up and lengthen your spine and walk over to the left. And again, fold forward. Breath in lifts you up. And breath out back to center. Walk your hands back in, stack your fists, rest your forehead. And lift yourself up, come back to hands and knees, or come on to hands and knees. Step your right hand forward about a shoulder's distance in front of, or a hand's distance in front of your shoulder. Swing your right shin out to make a kickstand. Extend your left leg out long and put the whole sole of your left foot onto the earth. Top arm reaches skyward. Breathe in here. As you breathe out, bend your top elbow, hand to the back of your head, and sort of let yourself get a little more back bendy here. Lean back, look up. As you exhale, curl downwards. Take your elbow down. Inhale, open it up. And exhale, curl down. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Pause here and exhale, re-extend your arm. Rise up here. Slide hand right down the leg. Top arm reaches up and overhead. And windmill back to the floor. This time, foot hovers, arm reaches overhead. Breathe in and extend. As you exhale, elbow towards knee, try to stay in one plane, just as something to play with. Again, it's not a right or a wrong, right? So by one plane, I mean, I'm not drawing my heel down, I'm not dipping my knee, I'm trying to just sort of stay in a straight-ish line. And then back behind. Bend your knee, reach back, maybe you wave, or perhaps there's a moment of grabbing the foot and letting your gaze lift up. Re-extend, elbow towards knee. Breathe it out. As you lengthen, you're taking breath in. And again, as you bend and reach back, there's your exhale. Arm long, leg long, breath in. I always like to add the challenge of trying to put my hand and my knee down at the same time, just to see what happens on a given day. Some days I can, some days I can't. Boop. Pretty successful today. All right, let's clear it with a cow and a cat. Inhale. And exhale. Left side's turn, so the left shin will spin out and we'll turn around for you. Left shin out, left hand steps forward, just a hand's pace of the shoulder. Right leg is out long, the whole sole of the foot is on the earth here. Top arm reaches up to the sky. Take a breath. And with your exhale, elbow bends, hand to the back of the head. Start to lean back a little bit, look up a little more, and then curl down towards the ground. Inhale, open yourself up. Press into your foot. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale, looking up, opening up. Exhale, arm extends back up to the sky. Without doing a big push off of your hand, use the stabilizer muscles of your spine to lift you up. Anchor down into this knee, lift up. Bring your hand down your extended leg. Second arm reaches up and overhead. And windmill back to the floor. This time, as your hand comes down, your back leg goes up. Extend and reach top arm overhead. So you're creating a line from fingers to sole of the foot. And then trying to stay in one sort of straight-ish line. Bring your elbows towards your knee. Of course, I can see nothing about what I am doing, so this could be hilariously inaccurate. Just sort of interesting what feels like something is a certain way, and then when you watch yourself later on, like, oh my gosh, really? That's what I thought level was, huh? How funny. And start to take it back behind. Maybe you just wave at your foot or look for your foot. Maybe you find your foot and extend it long. And take it in front of you. Lengthen it out. And take it back behind. And lengthen it out. And see if your hand and knee can come down simultaneously. Inhale, shape of the cow. Exhale to the cat. Tuck your toes, lift your knees, hips up and back downward, facing dog. Inhale, take your right leg up to the sky. Exhale, shift forward and bring knee towards nose. Inhale, up and back. Exhale, knee towards right elbow. Inhale, up and back. Cross the body, knee towards left elbow. Inhale, up and back. Exhale, foot comes down, left leg, breathe in. Knee towards nose, shift forward. Inhale, extend. Same side, left knee, left elbow. Up and back. Cross the body, left knee, right elbow. Up and back. Both feet down. Inhale, high plank. Exhale, lower. Take your arms out like a capital Y. So off the mat, extend them out long, pop up onto your fingertips. Inhale, lift your heart up, extend long. And exhale, lower. Step your fingertips back a couple inches closer, elbows are bent now. Inhale. Exhale. And then slide them back to the left and right sides off of the mat. Inhale. Here, exhale, roll your left shoulder towards center. Inhale, come on up. Exhale, right shoulder towards center. Inhale. Left shoulder, exhale. Inhale. Right shoulder, exhale. Come back through, inhale, center, and lower, center. Take your arms out on the floor now, somewhere between a goalpost and a capital Y, right? So I don't have to have my elbows drawn way back down here. They're sort of extended out long like capital Y, but with a bit of a bend in the elbows, right? And then I'm gonna let my left arm stay down, pop up onto my right fingertips. I may need to scooch my own space here. You're gonna wanna look to the left and right, make sure you've got a little room for your body. Right, so the left arm is down, I'm on my right fingertips. Turn your gaze to look to the right. You can come right onto your right cheek, right temple. Start to press your fingertips down and gently roll onto your left hip. So now I don't know if you can see this, I'm lifting up here just to show you, but I'm gonna try to keep my forearm down, my bicep down, and my shoulder down. Right, so this is a stretch, a big stretch, all across the chest, right here. Right? In addition to several other things that are getting stretched. So for some, this is gonna be a whole heck of a lot, just like this. For others, they're gonna get here and they're not gonna feel a thing. So for those folks who are sort of like, yeah, I'm not actually getting that big stretch you're talking about, you can continue your journey of rolling over. Sometimes it takes bending that top leg and touching the toes back behind. Sometimes it takes bringing this hand back behind you and grab it onto your t-shirt or your waistband back there. Find your breath and let yourself settle in. Top arm will make its way back over to be a support. If the leg did go behind, you're going to gently come back down, ease your way out. Take a second, stack your hands, rest your forehead, let yourself regulate and digest any of the sensations that have turned up for you. And lift your gaze up, and it'll be right arm's turn. So again, I'm not drawing my elbow way back here to be by my shoulder height. I actually want it out somewhere around a capital Y and then with a little bit of a bend. Forearm down, inner bicep down, inner right shoulder down. Left fingertips are popped up. I'm going to intentionally do this with my back to you just so you can see what the back side was looking like. Onto my right cheek, onto my right temple. I'm looking at my left hand here that's tented up to support me. And I'm going to start to roll onto my right hip, stopping whenever it feels like enough, right? So right here, breathe, and breathe. Maybe there's a continuation of toes touching down. That feels like plenty here, right? So the hand could come back behind. I'm not really feeling like I need that. I'd rather have the support in front on this side. Steadiness to your breath. And then gently come out of it as slow and cautious as you went in. And let your hands stack in front of your forehead. Rest your forehead down. Give yourself that second to notice. And then hands step back beside you. Lift yourself up to hands and knees. You're going to swing your feet out to the right hand side and come onto your seat. So from here, I'm going to spin a little bit at an angle so you can see my feet for a second here. So my bottom foot is resting on the earth with the sole turned upward. My top foot, I'm going to take the top side and rest it right into the crook of that foot. Right? So that's what I've got going on with the feet. Top foot resting into the arch of the bottom. Right? Lift the spine tall and long. Left fingertips are on the earth. I'm going to do a little bit of a lean. And then let this right hand come to the left knee. And with that lean now, I'll press and lift myself back up into the twist. So this is a variation of Bharadvadrasana, which is the sort of peak pose, if you wanted to call it that, the shape we are working towards, or we're working towards for the practice today. And we'll take it a couple of times in a couple of different ways. And as is sometimes the case in class with me, there's a story that goes along with this posture. So Bharadvajra is a man who decided to dedicate his entire life to the studying of the Vedas, which are the oldest sacred texts in the yogic tradition. So day and night he studied, he scribed, he recited back, he started over again. He would recite them out loud, he would recite them in his head, he would write them down some more, he would read them from front to back, he would read them from back to front. Right. Unwind your body from the twist, and kind of just pause here. And then let your feet sweep over to the second side. So again, the bottom foot is down, the arch up, and the top foot is going to rest into it, just like that. I got my right hand on the ground. I'm going to bend my elbow and let myself lean a little bit. Bring my left hand to my thigh, and then lift up and rotate to the right into the twist there. Find length through the spine, long, elegant neck with shoulders gracefully falling down by your sides. There's no need to overwork it or overdo it. There's a lot of sort of intensity that can happen all through the sides here in this seemingly innocuous little seated twist. Sometimes you get here and you're like, wow, there's actually quite a bit going on. It seems like I'm sitting here, but there's this whole other world going on. And so what's the case with Bharadvajra? Right? To the outside world, he was this quiet, sort of turned-in guy, but he was feverishly and furiously working away at getting deeper and deeper and deeper into his work of the study of the Vedas. He lived a long life, and at the end of his life, he passed away an old man, very rich in his knowledge of the Vedas, and came back, as is often the case in India with those who believe in reincarnation, to live another lifetime where he decided, I know exactly what I'm going to do this round. I'm going to study the Vedas. All right, so come back to center, pause, and then let your feet sweep around to the second side. And so I'm going to start to add in a little bit of another layer here. And I'll continue my story of Bharadvajra. So this is where you'll want your belt or your scarf or whatever you've got. So I've got the belt with the buckle on it, so I'm going to go ahead and make a lasso loop with that. If you're working with a scarf or something that doesn't have a buckle end or a clip end, you're going to basically start to make a knot in your scarf so that you've got a lasso loop. And how big or small that knot is will be determined momentarily. So I'm going to start with a really generous big loop here. So as opposed to resting one foot into the crook of the other like we did first round, we're going to play around with a half lotus. So Ardha Padmasana, using this front leg, in this instance the left leg, I'm going to rest the top of the foot right up into the hip crease to the best of my ability, right there. So there's the half lotus shape. And then I'm going to take this lasso loop around my back leg, my right leg. So it's around my knee, it's around my shin. I'm also catching a bit of my foot in it, if you'll notice. All right, and I cinch it in, so you'll tighten your knot or loosen your knot accordingly if you're just tying something. So I'm going to cinch it in, and I'm going to leave a bit of slack here between my foot. I don't want it super, super tight. I'm not trying to bind myself into it. I'm using this basically as an arm extender, right? So give yourself a bit of slack, and then you can play with it and tighten it if you feel like you don't need as much slack as you've created for yourself. But better to start with the slack and be able to find it and discover you can go a little tighter than have it too tight and have to undo it, right? So I'll let that be there. I'm going to take my left arm, thumb down, sweep it around back behind me. On my lower back, here it is. I'm going to find that loose end of the strap and cinch it in any amount, right? And then this free hand, right hand, will come to the outside edge of the left knee. And there's a look over that way, right? So second lifetime, second cycle of studying the Vedas, intensely studying. From sun up to sundown, nobody ever hardly saw him, no family, no friends. All this man did was burn the candle from waking till sleep and study. And he became probably the most studied person there was in that region on the Vedas. He knew more than anybody else. And at the end of his very long lifetime, he knew an entire lifetime's more about those Vedas than he had before. And he passed away. And he came back again for a third cycle of life. All right, let's unwind the body first. Go ahead and unshimmy your little loop from your leg. Set it off to the side for a second. And this time, uncross your ankle. Let's just do a little pause here with a windshield wiper of the knees. And then let your knees fall down, this time to the right. So the left leg becomes the back leg, and the right leg is the one that's more turned inward and facing in front of you. So I've got a little bit of an issue that goes on with this knee and this ankle. So I have to take extra care here, flexing my foot when I bring it up into the hip crease. And then you'll notice I've got space on this side. This knee doesn't touch down. If it does, I have to compensate, and I kind of pop my hip up back here. So what I'm going to do is grab a blanket and provide a little support for this knee on this side. That's a little too much, I think. So right there. So I've got that support. And then you're going to find your strap or your tie, whatever you're using again, and grab the lasso end. The back knee picks up to loop it over. And remember, you're going to catch some of your foot in there as well. So it's around my shin, around my knee, and a bit of this foot. Okay? I've got more slack than I think I'm going to need, just in case. Right arm comes out in front, thumb down, sweep it back behind, bring it around this side, find your strap, and hang on. And you'll take your gaze out over this front leg, over this right leg, and the free hand comes and rests on the outside of the knee. And here we are, another version of Bharad Vajrasana. So third lifetime, our friend decides he's going to study the Vedas again. And he's really hoping, as he has with all of his lifetimes, that his studying of the sacred text is going to bring him closer and closer and closer to Shiva, right? To transformation, to enlightenment, to this place of breaking free from the cycle of reincarnation, breaking free from having to die and be reborn again to learn another lesson that is not being learned. He's really hoping that this time, this third time's the charm, and he's got it. And at the end of a very long life of studying, he's on his deathbed, and finally, Shiva arrives, and his eyes light up. My Lord, have you come? Have you come to take me and let me sit by your side? Have I learned all that I needed to learn? Have I got as close to you as I could have gotten in this lifetime? Did I learn all of the things? Am I enlightened? Am I free of this cycle of patterning? And Shiva said to him, Bharadvajra, you have indeed studied a lot. You have learned a lot. You know more about the Vedas than any other man in this world. Let me show you just how much you've learned. And he reached his hand out the window to a nearby mountain, and he grabbed a handful of sand from the mountain, and he brought it in, and he placed it on the bedside. And he said, in your first lifetime, that's what you've learned. And he reached out the window again to another mountain range that was nearby, and he grabbed another handful of sand, and he brought it in, and he placed it by the bedside. He said, in your second lifetime, that is how much you have learned. And you can guess where this one's going. Reached out the window to the third mountain range that happened to be in the area, and he grabbed another pile of sand, and he placed it down by the bedside. He said, in this third lifetime, this is how much you've learned. You see, you have done all of this studying. Let's unwind. Let your hands go. All of this studying. And you've done nothing with it. You've enlightened your own self in gathering this wisdom. And you've got nothing to show for it. You have no spouse. You have no children. You have no friends. You have no joy. There's nothing going on in your world except for this study. You're so intent on the end game that you're missing the whole point. But if you really, really want to get there, I'll give you another shot. And so with that, Bharadvajra passed away, and he came back for a fourth lifetime. All right, so let's gently unwind, undo your loop. Any of your props and support that you've got, let's come back to windshield wiper of the knees again. And then let the knees fall over to the other side, over to the left side. So this will be the last round that we come into the shape. You can take either of the previous rounds, right? You can come back to top of the foot into the crook of the foot and twist. You can come back to resting your foot in your hip crease and taking your strap. Remember, it'll go over your knee and your shin, and you'll reach back behind. Or, depending on the proportion of your body, how long your arms are, what kind of degree of rotation you have in your torso to come around, you can decide to play around with doing this props free. So again, it'll still be the left hand, thumb down, sweep it around the back side. I'll use my other hand for a little assist. You can grab the top of the foot, you can maybe loop around your big toe or hold on to the whole foot. Free hand can come to the knee, or again, depending on how long your arm is, it might tuck under the knee and rest. My arm isn't quite long enough. You see, I have to kind of lean forward in order to make that happen. So I'm just going to let it go. I don't really need to do that piece. I'm going to hold on here and open up and twist. And so in the fourth lifetime, Bharadvajra came back, and he dedicated his life to the Vedas. But this time, he decided he knew so much about the Vedas that as opposed to simply studying them, he would perhaps put everything he had learned about them into action, and he became a teacher. And he taught anybody who wanted to know anything about the Vedas, anybody who had the curiosity to learn, anybody who wanted to learn about living this yogic life, he became a teacher too, and became the most well-known sage and wise teacher of the Vedas in the whole country. Unwind your body, come on back through center. pause for a second. Gently take your ankle off. Come out of whatever shape you were in, move your props, and let your knees go side to side. And then over to the second side. Here we go. Last one in. And again, remember, you can gather up your goodies. You can rest top foot into the arch. You can bring your foot in to the crook of your hip and take your strap over your knee, over your foot, and reach behind and open into it that way. Or you can go for the wrap without the strap. I do still want my support underneath my knee here, so I'm going to grab that. Thumb down, sweep back behind, use your hand, reach around. Hand can rest. Oh, I can almost do it because I've got the blanket here, so my knee's a little closer. So your hand can rest under your knee. It's all about proportions, or just on your knee. I think I'm still just going to go with on the knee. And look back over that left shoulder. And at the end of this very long life, again on his deathbed, a super old man, Shiva arrived. And when he got there, it wasn't just Bharadvajra in the room and Shiva there to greet him, but the face of thousands and thousands and thousands of students who had come from far and wide when they heard that Bharadvajra was dying. They lined every wall of his room, in every room of his house, and they stood outside his windows, and they blocked the view of all of the mountain ranges. And when Shiva arrived, he said, Bharadvajra, my friend, you've got it. You figured it out. You have shined the light into the hearts of every single one of these people, and probably many more that haven't been able to journey here today. You have shared the wisdom of the Vedas. You finally understand the work of putting these scriptures into practice. It's about the sharing of the work. It's about the doing and the living and the being. That's what brings these sacred texts to life. That's what brings you close to me. So I will grant you your boon, and you can come with me and sit by my side, and you no longer need to be caught in this cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. And surprisingly, Bharadvajra said, thank you, Shiva. This is exactly what I have been waiting for all of these lifetimes, but now I must confess, I think I kind of like it here. If it's okay with you, I want to come back and I want to teach again, because I never feel closer to you than I do when I'm sharing your work. And so, of course, he was granted that boon, and he came back yet again to be the wisest teacher and sharer of the Vedic texts in all of India. Let your arms go. Unwind, pause there for just a moment. And then let your ankle come off of your leg. Scoot your props out of the way gently. This time let's take the legs out wide. Upavishta Konasana. There's been a lot of knee bending happening here, so let's get some extension happening. And wide is a relative term, whatever works for you. You could certainly prop your sitting bones up onto that blanket behind you, if that helps you find a little more length in your hamstrings. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, hinge forward any amount towards the floor in front of you. And again, you could prop your elbows up onto your block. You could rest your thumbs with a little pressure up into the upper ridge of the eye sockets. Some of you maybe fold forward a little further, forearms on the earth. And some of you, I know, could lay yourself flat on the ground. So whatever is a reasonable amount of forward folding stretch for you here is great. Do a little spread through your toes, a little wiggle side to side of your ankles, press through your heels. Lift yourself back up. Let your left arm slide right down your left leg and either land on top of it, on a block right behind it, or on the floor in front of it. Top arm reaches up and overhead towards the sky and then towards the toes. right? So some of you will be able to touch the toes. If you can touch the toes, but touching the toes means you've got this sort of crunchy little rounded body that looks very grumpy and unhappy just because you're trying to reach your toes, let the work of the side body stretch just be enough, and don't worry about holding onto your dang toes. Just open up through your sides, look up and let your arm reach to wherever it reaches to. Again, so much of these shapes, so much about them, is just about the proportions, and what you're able to reach is what you're able to reach. So be okay with wherever you're at. And lift up tall through center. And over to second side. Slide your right arm right down, either resting on your leg, on the block behind it, or on the floor in front of it. And top arm up and overhead. And maybe there's toes, and maybe there's not toes in your future. And let's come on back up through center. Scooch any of your blocks and blankets and things out of your way. Bend the knees and lower yourself down onto your back. Find your scarf or your strap, whatever you're using. It doesn't really matter if the lasso's still in it or not. And lay yourself right down onto your back. Make a loop with the strap. Take your right foot up into it, up at the ceiling. You can keep your left knee bent or extend your leg out long on the floor. And then take both ends of the strap into your right hand and let your left arm come out to the left side to be an anchor for you. Breath in. As you breathe out, right leg opens to the right. Breath in. See if you can open that leg to draw your toes sort of in an upward opening fashion. So toes closer to where your ears are. And then let your toes dial out to sort of face the floor there. And then bring the toes back to more neutral. And come on up to center. At center, plug the whole top of the thigh bone down into the floor. Bear down on the sides of the strap. Press through the foot and extend it up towards the ceiling. Take it into the other hand, the left hand. Let your right arm come out and be an anchor. Cross your body only as far as you can go before you start to roll, right? So notice here I'm rolling, here I'm staying on my back. So it's just my leg that's crossing my body. Keeping my back body down on the mat to the best of my ability. I'm going to take my free hand here into an L and come into the hip crease. So I'm not at my waist. A lot of times when I'm walking around the room, with students, they're holding on to their waist. So I'm at the crease where my leg hinges. That's what I've got the L in, and I'm just using it to press my thigh bone away from me and create a little more space for it. And in doing that, I get a little more scooch to the left in that crossover. And come on back up to center. And release your foot, bend your knee, set it down. Take a breath, just like this. And let's switch it up. Lasso the left foot. I'm going to be hindered a little bit by the wall here with my opening, but you do you and open up as far as you can. You can keep this right knee bent if you'd like as you open your left leg out to the left. Or you can take it out long. And actually, one of the things about having a wall near you is you can actually kind of use it as a little resting point. Like I've got my heel on it here now. I'm still doing the work. I'm just using it as a stop point for myself. But my hand still has quite a grip on the strap. I'm plugging in. I'm reaching through my heel. And I'm drawing up a little closer, toes towards my ears. And then with external rotation, I'm limited by the wall, but toes go down towards the floor. And then neutralize the toes. Come up and pause at the ceiling. Plug in and down into the floor. And press through the foot up towards the ceiling and change hands. Right hand, left foot. Left hand comes down to the floor. Cross your body just as far as you can go before you start to keel over. And so you're staying anchored as best as you can from hips to shoulders on the floor. And take your free hand, make it an L shape, and press the thigh bone away from you, so towards that bottom end of your mat. Right there in the hip crease, give it a press, and see if it doesn't help you make a little more space for the top of your thigh bone to move around in the socket and draw those toes up towards your right ear a little bit more. Come back to center. Let it go. Let your strap go. Bend both knees, heel toe out to the edges of your mat. Rest your knees in on one another. Inhale, fan your arms out wide. Exhale, wrap one arm over the other. Give yourself a hug. Makes no difference. We're going to do the other side in a minute. So whichever arm's on top is great. Let your arms wrap right around the backs of your shoulders. And just sort of snuggle in here to this constructive rest shape. All the bones can kind of lean on one another and the muscles don't have to work too much to hold you here. Inhale and open up. And exhale, cross the other arm on top. Come back into it. Unwrap your arms, let your knees move away from one another, and then curl in. Extend your legs out long towards the ceiling. Shift your right leg away from you and your left leg towards you a little bit. And then imagine they're like the two ends of a twist tie. And we'll crisscross. Left thigh, right over right thigh. Bend your knees. Hold on to your knees, your shins, or your ankles. A little reclining cow face pose here to get into the outer hips. Let your hands go. Take your legs back up, extend them long, and change the crisscross. So right leg towards you, left leg away from you. Thigh over thigh, bend the knees. Hold on to whatever's there to grab. And take a few breaths. Let your hands go, unwrap your legs. Extend everything out, long legs, long arms. And just for a couple of seconds, shake things out. And just let yourself plop. Settle in for rest. Allowing yourself to be imperfectly uneven. And just sort of landed and settled here. Bones heavy, muscles not working anymore. Cradled and held by the support of the floor, your mat, and any props or blankets that you've got nearby. Let go of the work of doing, and drop into the work of being. Let your breath become unregulated and smooth and steady, natural rhythm. Allow your awareness to look around. Bear witness to whatever is there to be observed. Namah Shivaya Gurave Satchidananda Murtaye Nishprapanchaya Shantaya Niralambaya Tejase body to begin to slowly reawaken with small movements first. And then let that translate into larger stretches, reaches, bends, twists, wiggles, whatever you need. As you're ready, roll onto your side. Use your hands to prop yourself up. And make your way into a comfortable seat. Gather your hands together. Anjali Mudra in front of you once you're seated. I open my heart to the power of grace that lives in us as goodness, that never is absent and radiates peace and lights the way to transformation. Om Shanti, Om Peace. May you be blessed with wisdom beyond Bharad Vajra. May it not take you 4 lifetimes to get the point of your good work. May you know your light and share your light from this moment forward. Namaste.